What's up, everyone? It is Joe, aka the DeFi Crypto King, or DCK for short. I'm really excited. Today we're going to be talking about DeFi kingdoms and more specifically Crystalvale and its launch that's coming up here on the 30th. So today's the 28th as of recording this. And yeah, I'm really excited because there's some very important information that I think everyone needs to know moving forward, especially if you're looking to get into this project if you aren't already invested into DeFi kingdoms on the Harmony One chain side. Okay, so with that being said, let me share my wonderful screen because I know that's all you guys want to see from me. So here we go. All right, so as we can see, currently DeFi Kingdoms, the token name Jewel is ranked 137 in terms of market cap. It has a max supply of 500 million tokens, total supply of 352 million, and then a current circulating supply of 76.3 million. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of tokenomics. And also there is 70 million in TVL, total value locked, and the fully diluted valuation is roughly 4.46 billion. Pretty cool. These are all just good things to look at. I'm not saying like you should always pay attention to this. I mean, well, I would pay attention to these three right here: circulating supply, total supply, max supply. That's important. But aside from that, we see it is up 9.1%. I believe that's on the day. It is doing pretty good right now, all considered. And yeah, let's take a quick look at the charts. Since it was this day, March 8th, where they announced DFK chain, which is their Avalanche subnet. For those of you who don't know what an Avalanche subnet is, it's essentially a project's custom blockchain. So think Avalanche, think Phantom, think Ethereum. Those are all layer one blockchains. DFK has a blockchain within Avalanche now. So it's pretty cool. It's like a mini blockchain within a bigger blockchain. So anyways, with that being said, that's just the layman terms. We can see that since March 8th, actually, I brought this down all the way to March 7th at its all-time low of this cycle right here. We see that it is up 142% from its top of the candle wick. I still anticipate this will continue going up for a variety of reasons that I'll explain in a second here. But right now, I think the current point of resistance will be the $9.73 mark. That's strictly my opinion from a very simple chart analysis basis. I am not a professional technical analysis expert, chart analysis expert by any means, but it's just something to keep in mind. So anyways, with that, let's get into this. So this is a really interesting article. It's how do you get from Serendale to Crystalvale for current DFK players, DeFi kingdoms. And one of the very important things to note is, number one, you're going to need Jewel token for this. It's going to be the gas fee on DFK chain. And without it, essentially, you can't do anything. Also, in order to get Jewel, there's a few different ways you can go about it. Currently, before Crystalvale's launch, again, Crystalvale's launching on March 30th. You can go to DeFiKingdoms.com right up here. So currently you can go to DeFiKingdoms.com. Once you're on here, you click Start Playing, and then from there, see if it loads. From there, you'll log in, you'll create your account or anything if you've never done this before, and you'll go to Marketplace, and you will need the Harmony One token to do this, but essentially what you can do is you can trade Harmony One for the Jewel token, and from there, you can acquire as much Jewel as your heart desires. Yeah, and I'm not going to get too much into that particularly because there are tons of tutorials out there on YouTube. But something important to note is you're going to need some Jewel for gas fees on DFK chain. So make sure you don't fully deplete that and or if not, make sure you re-up on this. And then, first things first, you're going to want to bridge some Joule over to DFK chain. So in order to do that, if you already have Joule purchased on Harmony One, so the Serendale version of DeFi Kingdoms, which is on Harmony One mainnet, you're going to want to go to the docs section. From the docs, you're going to go to the doc master. And then I think they're going to remove this perilous journey section right here. And it's actually going to say travel to Crystalvale. So you'll just like click on that. And what it'll essentially do is, I'm just going to use this as an example. This isn't really it, but let's see here. This is just the multi-chain version, but it's going to take you to what is called a bridge. So it's bridging a asset from one network to another network, so another chain. It's not loading, so I'm just going to ignore that. But that's going to be something you're going to need to do. And so essentially you're bridging your Joule from Harmony One to DFK chain, which is on the Avalanche subnet mainnet. Okay. Or not mainnet, sorry. It's on the Avalanche subnet, which is going to be DFK chain mainnet. So anyways, once you do that, nothing else is really essentially needed. I'm going to pull up another article after this because it's super important. But one thing you really want to keep in mind is you're going to need Joule and XJoule in order to enter into the liquidity pool on DeFi Kingdoms, on Crystalvale. So that's going to be super important, and you're going to want to take advantage of this as soon as possible. Hands on the keyboard, on the mouse are going to be essential to get into this as soon as possible. Opportunity cost, in my opinion, is going to be a huge sense of urgency in order to really benefit from that. So want to make sure that everybody who's watching this video is prepared. This is why I'm providing you at the end of this a little bit of my strategy, but you want to move with a sense of urgency. The only way to get XJoule, for those of you who don't know, is you actually have to go, I'll explain right real quick. You have to go to the jeweler on Serendale for DeFi Kingdoms. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stake your Joule bag into here. Now, again, remember, don't stake all your Joule. Well, you could stake all your Joule initially if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd probably would leave 10 Joule just to be safe in your wallet, in your MetaMask wallet. And then what you could do is, let's just say you have 100 Joule. So you would stake 100 or 90 Joule into here. Whatever the XJoule amount equals, you'll divide that by 2 on the 29th, which is tomorrow. Withdrawal, or actually you don't even need to do it on the 29th. You could technically do it on the 30th. Just remember to be paying attention to the Discord and whatnot to make sure when Crystalvale launches. But when it does launch, you remove half of your XJoule, and the other half, you'll have the XJoule in your MetaMask wallet as a receipt. So that way you can go on Crystalvale and participate in this XJoule LP. And the reason you want to do that is because that's going to be the only way you can earn Crystal. Also, a lot of people who are concerned about impermanent loss, this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't want to say with 100% confidence, but I've done similar LP pools like this before, and impermanent loss is essentially non-existent because whether you're getting more Joule or XJoule, you're technically winning because you're still increasing your Joule bag. All right. And in my opinion, because of the new utility for Joule in DeFi Kingdoms and in Crystalvale, specifically on the DFK chain, we're going to continue to see Joule to increase in price. This is a little bit of hopium for you guys. Realistically, you'll probably see something like this. To the moon, just kidding, to Mars. Yeah, so anyways, that's going to be super important to pay attention to. Obviously, I don't think it's going to do that kind of necessary price action, but something I also do want to note is, again, right now we've hit, it's kind of seen some resistance at the 142% level or price point. I do think once it confirms and breaks this $9.73 mark, I do think we'll continue to run up to roughly this $11.48 mark. So this will actually be Let me actually mark this while I'm here now, but this will actually be my point of profit taking, or like a place that I would consider profit taking, if that makes sense with my bags, or if that makes sense with your bags. But most likely what this really means is, I presume, I don't know for a fact, I'm not a wizard, I could totally be wrong, and I'm okay with that, but I'm presuming that it's going to dip immediately after that. It could dip before. Again, it still hasn't broken this level, but I think if it breaks this level, we'll probably see it, do this. Oops, that's terrible. We'll probably do this, and then bam, and then bam, and then this will probably be like a point of resistance, if I'm being honest. And it'll probably like hover between here for a bit, maybe even drop a little bit lower, and then probably bust back up. Just assumption though. It could actually just keep bursting up here, and who knows, either get back to the $22 mark or higher, because again, something to note about a Jewel token is it is hard capped. So it is an unlimited supply, as mentioned earlier. It does have a max supply. So there isn't going to be any more printed at any point in time. So yeah, anyways, going to for sure want to take part in that, because you're going to be earning Crystal. My assumption for Crystal is the following. So there's actually another project I'm pretty invested into and I like a lot, although it's not really doing much right now. And that is DeFi with its FIRA token. It's pretty similar in terms, here, let me get rid of this. It's pretty similar in terms of its, structure, or like game, not even tokenomics per se, but it's pretty similar to DeFi Kingdoms in a lot of ways, right? So, oops, my bad, guys. Let's get rid of this. But essentially, like when DeFi Kingdoms first launched, you saw this temporary dip, and then from there, gained some traction, boom. People probably took profits, for a variety of different reasons, which I won't get into right now. That dipped, so it did a 215% dipped, and then I think it dipped like 40% or something like that, if I remember correctly. Yeah, like 47-ish, 46% of a dip, and then it increased. It did another pump of 304%. So that's something that is, this right here is probably more realistic in the beginning. Although something to keep a note of is on the day of, right now from its inception to its all-time high, DeFi, which is a similar project and came out after DeFi Kingdoms was already pretty popular. A lot of people who missed out on this run and this run took part in DeFi and took part in this run. Okay. Keep in mind, DeFi technically launched to the public on the 25th. Oops. So it technically did a 781. So this is the day that it launched. It technically did 781% from the bottom of this wick to the top of this all-time high wick. So that's just something to keep in mind. I expect Crystal to do something similar. I don't know what price it's starting at, but the reason why I expect that is because I don't think people are going to be selling this token right off the bat. And there's a few reasons why, which I'll get into later. But yeah, again, you're going to need to bridge your Jewel token, and you're also going to need to bridge your X Jewel token in a completely separate transaction in order for you to in order to bring it to the DFK chain and stake the Jewel and X Jewel and create the Jewel X Jewel LP in Crystalvale. So that's something super important to note. Remember to leave some Jewel again in your MetaMask wallets and make sure to bridge that Jewel over as well to the DFK chain. And then something you want to really make sure of is that your LP pair is exactly 50%. So something to keep a note of is if this rate for some reason were to increase after you deposited, that's something to note. So just keep an eye on that. Also, if you want to be able to see X Jewel, I know some people get freaked out by that. What you can do here is I'm going to copy this. Actually, don't care that you guys see this right now. But essentially what you'll do is scroll down, import. It's going to say X Jewel, and you're going to add that, and look, voila, très magnifique. You're all set. I hope you guys can see that. Actually, it should. But if it doesn't, you're basically copying this. You're opening your MetaMask in the browser right here. You're scrolling down on it until it says import tokens. You copy that into the section and then paste, and bam, you're all good to go. All right. Anyways, from that, you want to make sure that you have bridged enough of your Joule to pair in equal amounts with your X Joule. And again, while still leaving some for gas fees. And then, like I said, it's going to say, in the docs section. Let's see here. Maybe I should have done this instead. In the docs section, I think instead of it saying this here, it's going to say the following: travel to Crystalvale. And then it's going to guide you to configure your wallet for the DFK chain. Beware, I think right now there is on Twitter, crypto Twitter, there's an said RPC for this network available, but it's not true. I went on the Discord, I could not find anything surrounding that being truth. So I would wait until Crystalvale launches on the 30th. And yeah, you can actually bridge to Crystalvale from there because it'll automatically connect. It'll automatically make you switch networks to the DFK chain. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. Oh, this is another thing too. So in order to take place in that Joule X Joule LP, which I think is going to be in the 1,000+ range for APRs, it might be more. And I'll explain why I have that assumption in a bit. But yeah, you're going to want to pay Druid Ulfer, this guy right here. You're going to want to pay him a visit in the marketplace. So just to kind of show you guys, again, pretend this is Crystalvale right now. This isn't it, but this is the marketplace on Crystalvale. Instead of it being this Druid, it's going to be this Druid, which is Druid Ulfer. You would click on him, create pool. I'm just making this up, Joule, and then let's just say X Joule. It's not going to show up, but let's just pretend that a Joule and Joule. Yeah, I'll just put Harmony 1 as an example, but Joule and Joule, bam, you create it after you enter in the amount. Anyways, just to do that. And then actually, a lot of people don't know this, or I don't see this a lot as frequently, but oh my God, what the hell is it doing? Okay. A lot of people don't know this, but after you do that, you can actually click on here and you can actually stake from here if you wanted to, or if you're wanting to explore Crystalvale a little bit or DeFi Kingdoms, you can go here, which instead of it being gardens, it'll probably say ice gardens, I believe. Yep, right here. You're going to deposit it into the ice gardens. So you go from here, whatever this is going to be called, maybe the ice box or something. And then I'm assuming that this one is going to be Joule and X Joule. And right now, just this, again, this is on Serendale. It's paying you 4 Joule block and it's giving you 376% APR. It's pretty amazing as is. I'm currently not in any of these pools. I was in just primarily this one. It was paying out pretty hefty amounts. I loved it. But now I'm strictly waiting for the 30th for the launch of Crystalvale on DFK chain, as I recommend you guys do. But again, you would click deposit. I don't have any. So you would probably have to do this too, where you add, this is like a wallet I don't use, to be honest. But from there, you would add the Joule 1 liquidity, which again, you'll get instead of Druid Lazarus, it's going to be Druid Ulfer from the marketplace. And then you also have to approve it. So it's going to be your first time doing it over there. That's normal to approve the transaction. After you approve it, you'll be able to deposit. And then you'll earn whatever the crystal rate per block is. And again, I'm going to show you guys what that is in a minute here. But let's go back here. And oh, yeah, and that's it for this article. There's one other one I really wanted to review. That's if you're getting started on DFK chain. So this is, yeah, okay, cool. This is it. So this is going to be a little bit more, oh no, it's new users. 1 sec, here it is. This is going to be a little bit more realistic to what I think you'll see. Yeah, what I think you'll see. So scrolling past this, this is actually how it's going to look. So in terms of like the gardens, you're going to deposit your LP seeds. So it is still going to be called seed box, guys, just for those who want to know. And you're going to harvest for crystal. So that's good to know that it's basically staying the same. Also something to note, you're going to be able to go to this thing called the outpost after you enter the DeFi kingdoms. And, you know, if you already have AVAX, for instance, you're going to be able to move your AVAX to the DFK chain, which is pretty awesome. And then the outpost is going to, you know, allow you, after you do it through the outpost, or sorry, back up. I'm kind of on a little bit of energy right now. This is exciting. But after the outpost, or in the outpost, you'll have a decentralized exchange, DEX, where you can swap for other assets to get Jewel, you know, or either you could just do AVAX or you can do Jewel, whichever you want to do. So that's important. But I kind of want to go back to this one because for new users, because I think most people, this will probably be the case. So you're going to click play after you go to game, game.defykingdoms.com. From there, you're going to connect to wallet, you know, and then it's going to give you an option to either visit Serendale or Crystalvale. This isn't available just yet, but on the 30th, I think it's at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Crystalvale is going to be available, so that'll be 2 p.m. Eastern. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's see. Yes, this is right here. For those of you who are eager to enter Crystalvale, you will be brought to the outpost so that you can buy AVAX. At the outpost, you will meet with Snow Sage Elia. With her, you will find a bridge that allows you to move your AVAX to DFK chain. The outpost also has a DEX in case you need to swap other assets unsupported by the bridge, either to AVAX or directly to Jewel. Click on Getting Started and she will guide you through different options to travel to Crystalvale, as well as help you configure your wallet for DFK chain. For DFK chain. This is how it's going to look. Snow Sage Elia. Pretty cool. And then once you bridge, you'll receive a small amount. This is pretty cool. Once you bridge, you will receive a small amount of gas for free, so you can swap your AVAX for Jewel. Again, this is taken into consideration if you have AVAX only, I believe. I could be wrong. To use for future gas fees and stake for Crystal. And then this is kind of going over what we were talking about earlier about the Jewel X Jewel. But yeah, I don't want to focus too heavily on that. Now I kind of want to go into Crystal token. So these are some of the tokenomics to keep in mind. There's going to be a hard cap of 125 million tokens. In my opinion, that is not that many tokens, which is a great thing for the price of Crystal. Put in perspective, Jewel token has 500 million tokens. Crystal token, hopefully I didn't say 1,000 earlier, I meant 125 million. So it's literally, let me pull up a calculator here because I am not the best at math. So 125 million. Hold on real quick. Wait, is that million? Yeah, 125 million. 125, 123, 123 divided by 500, 123, 123. So that's like a quarter. I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier. That's like almost like a quarter of the Jewel token that is hard capped. So it's something to keep in mind. And then look at the pre-minting. This is important to note. A Crystal pre-mint will occur prior to the launch. And then it says why this is happening. So it says these tokens will be used in part for initial liquidity, with the remainder used to fund a variety of rewards for players. Specific information on these rewards is forthcoming. So when I think the rewards for players, I think participating in the ice gardens. So that's something to keep in mind, okay? And then let's go to ice gardens. So this is the issuance schedule or emission schedule, depending on what you want to word it as. So it says it's going to be at 2000 or 2000 Eastern time on the date listed in the table below. So March 30th, epoch number 1, which means the first issuance or the first emission schedule. Look at this. Crystal per second, 16. Crystal per minute, 960. Holy moly. I am doing a lot of speculation when I say what I'm about to say, but to me, this means the following. Okay, be prepared. First and foremost, not financial advice. This is fully speculation right here. If we go to the seed box here, right? This is currently 4 joule block. If we go to, let's see, right now, that's 120 joule a minute, 4 joule a block. Now this doesn't say block, it says second. And this also says minute, as well as Crystal says minute. So eventually it's going to get to 0.5 by February 28th, 2024. But if you're early into these LPs, into the LP, you're going to benefit the most. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is going to be spread out between all of the pools or like that are going to be eventually be available, or if it's just Joule and X Joule. But my assumption is it's going to be strictly Joule and X Joule. So you want to get that 16 Joule or 16 Crystal. You want to take advantage. This is why the opportunity cost is high. And it's not just for a single day. So keep that in mind. It says March 30th to April 6th. So it's going to be 16 up until the 6th of April. So you have the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's 8 days. 8 days of earning Crystal. And you're earning like roughly, depending on the amount, of course, of money you throw in, it'll take a little bit more time, I'm assuming, to make that 16 Crystal, potentially. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it's going to be. And then after the 6th, you have from the 6th to the 13th, and you're still making 12. So the first 3 epochs are going to be like the most important. And then eventually, I think once it reached the 8th epoch, so we're going to see like mid to late May, that's kind of when it's going to get to where Serendale is currently with the 4 joule. Okay. And again, this is a little bit different. This is a little bit skewed. So blocks are very different from seconds. I'm not sure like what's that's going to translate to. Who knows? Maybe it's completely speculating here. Maybe it's not 16 per day or whatever. Maybe it's like, or 16 per second, even though it says that. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm making this up. 906. I doubt it, but 960 a day. That's a little bit unrealistic and popium. So let me retract my statement. It might, however, be something along the lines of you're actually getting that 16 a day, or maybe like 10 a day, or maybe not a day, maybe a week for some people, depending on your LP pool size, right? I feel like usually when I hear stuff like this mentioned, they're referencing if you had like, I'm not saying to invest as much, keep this in mind. This is just strictly an example for educational purposes. Do not throw this much money in if you don't already have some kind of money like this. But I'm going to assume this is based off of $1,000 investment. Okay. I'm not saying it is based off of that. There's nothing to say that, but that's something to keep in mind. Kind of going back to this, Joule staking and allocations. This is important. So the Ice Gardens will open with a Joule-based stake for crystal emissions. Beautiful. This is the Joule and X Joule LP. And then it's going to say, as the Ice Gardens are built out over the following weeks, new incentivized pairs. See, so I think, again, like this is probably going to be split up between different LP pairs, but I think the Joule and Joule X Joule will be the strongest at first. And then if there's a Crystal and Joule LP, that'll probably take over the Joule X Joule LP, just because they're going to be difference in price, in my opinion, but that's going to be very, very smart. I'm also going to try, I'll go into strategy later. So new incentivized pairs will be added and allocations will be adjusted to reward a wider variety of liquidity providers. And then locking. So this is important to note. And I'm actually going to get really heavy into this. So claimed lock crystal will remain locked until March 22nd, 2023. That's essentially a little under a year, almost a year essentially from Crystalvale's launch. So that's something to keep in note. This is actually really good for the tokens price. Again, speculating here. I know that quite a bit of Joule unlocked around somewhere around this period and this period. And then there was like a hack on Harmony, which caused this, as well as a lot of people dumping their Joule. So that's kind of why this happened right here, and as well as just the market as a whole going down. But back here. But yeah, that's something to keep in note. So there's going to be a lot of crystal locked up. All right. And that's also something else to note too here. I know I gave a little bit of, or a lot of hopium for this, but a decent chunk of this reward will be locked up. So you actually won't be able to like keep it and hold it in your wallet. It's just going to be like available for possibly mining later with a hero NFT, and other opportunities, I'm sure. Going back to this, it says, which marks the end of the 50 of Epoch 51. Locked rewards will begin unlocking ratably at that time over the following 52 epochs. Then the percentage of crystal that is locked begins at 5%. This is important. So 5% of what you earn, this is what I'm understanding from this, is going to be unlocked. That means 95% of the money you earn from the LP pool, 95% of the crystal you earn from the LP pool will be locked in the beginning. So, again, like you're getting in early, but risk to reward, right? Like if you're looking for this as like a quick flip project, this isn't it. If I'm being honest, this is something like if you're invested in DeFi Kingdoms, if you really believe in the project. And I say believe because this is one of those projects where you can't just invest lightly. You really have to have some kind of conviction or really belief in GameFi, which is gamified DeFi, and metaverse kind of plays, because that's kind of what this isn't really metaverse, but that's kind of what this is. So anyways, like I said, 5% is going to be unlocked from my understanding in Epoch 1. And then it's going to increase by 2% each epoch. So this one's going to be 5%. So let's see, 5% of that 16. Again, I'm just speaking hypothetically here. That's going to be like 0.8 crystal per second. This one's going to be 7%. Make sure I'm doing this right. Excuse me. Times 12. Yeah, it's going to be 0.84 per second. So it's just going to increase by 2% each epoch, eventually getting to a point where it's going to be like closer to what DeFi Kingdoms on Serendale is right now, which I think is like 50 or 40 something percent, somewhere on there. Anyways, and unclaimed rewards continue to unlock. So here's the cool part. Unclaimed rewards continue to unlock on the schedule until claiming, at which time unlocked rewards go directly into the player's wallet, and locked rewards become fully unlocked until the end of Epoch 51, which, remember, Epoch 51 is March 22nd, 2023. So you better mark that in your calendar if you don't already have that marked down. And then garden staking deposit withdrawal fees. This is really important to know just because there are no deposit fees for staking LP tokens in the gardens. To protect against flash loans and pump and dumps. This is why they created the locking strategy in the first place. It's to prevent these massive, this is not a good example of this, but this is to prevent these massive dumps that you'll experience. So stuff like this right here, or stuff like this in the initial start of the project. So that way the users don't rug the project, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, so to protect against flash loans and pump and dumps, we do implement withdrawal fees for withdrawing staked LP tokens. Each withdrawal resets the fee timer. The withdrawal fees are listed below. So basically, they're disincentivizing people from withdrawing early. So like for instance, you'll get charged this fee if you withdraw after 4 epochs. Put in perspectives, 4 epochs is April 20th, 2022. So keep that in mind, at least from my understanding. And then there's the 0.25% fee if user withdrawals. So this is like the cheapest one. So you're gonna have to wait till April 20th, or after actually taking the April 21st, until you can get that small of a fee, which is nothing. Literally 0.25% fee is after 2 epochs, but before 4 epochs. And then it just gets higher and higher. And so look, if you try to quickly put your money in and then pull it out, you are going to get slashed with 25% withdrawal fee. This is actually terrible if you're a pump and dumper or just someone who's like looking to make a quick profit. And this is why I like this project, because it's keeping my bags and other users' bags for the most part fairly safe and fairly protected from these pump and dumpers or these DeFi degens. I am a DeFi degen, but you know, I'm not a bad DeFi degen. The projects I'm invested in, I really like a lot. But I will say this: be aggressive with profit taking, and be more even more aggressive with de-risking your position. That kind of brings me into the strategy portion. But is there anything else I wanted to talk about real quick here? No, I think I covered it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's kind of get into strategy. You know, here's the thing, right? As of right now, what do we know? We know, oh, let me open this. We know that there's going to be a Joule X Joule LP, which I think is going to be like essentially right here. And then probably below it, there's going to eventually, not right off the bat, but there's just going to be this. Based on, man, why did I exit out of it? Based on this information I have right here, I'm going to roughly assume the Joule X Joule LP will probably be a little over 1,000% APR, potentially. Don't get too excited. Don't come screaming at me if it's not. I am not a magician. I am not a fortune teller. I could totally be wrong. It could probably end up being actually 376% for all I know. But I'm going to safely speculate that it'll probably be within that range right off the bat. That doesn't mean it'll stay at 1,000, but it could be, right? So with that being said, my first mission is this: if I were to create a strategy. Number one, I would have a maybe like 40, I would say like 25 to 40% Joule 1 bag of like, sorry, I would take 40 to 25 to 40% of my total Joule bag, and I would put it into this Joule and 1 LP. That way I can be earning 4 Joule a block. That will effectively give me more free Joule, which I can then use and funnel into Crystalvale. Okay, this is the first strategy. From there, what I will do is I will go, oops, I shouldn't have done it that way. From there, I will go to the jeweler. In the jeweler, I will stake half in here just to get, so I'll deposit half of that, half of my total Joule in there. So just click 50%, deposit into here, get that X Joule, go to the docs. Let's pretend this says travel to Crystalvale, click on that. And then go to the Ice Gardens. Again, let's pretend this is Crystalvale right now. Go to the seed box and then go to the Joule X Joule and deposit more. That's kind of my strategy. And as well, remember, you're also with earning Crystal already, but remember, you're not earning a lot. And to be honest, even the ones that you are earning unlocked, I wouldn't sell them. But that would be like my first strategy. If you're wanting to earn like free Joule and I have to invest more dollars, like US dollars, into buying more Joule and what have you. So I think that's a pretty cool strategy. Strategy number two, if you're already in this LP, withdraw all of it 100%. So take 100% of your Joule bag. Don't even bother with that. Go to the jeweler, deposit half of your Joule, again, 50%. Let's just say 50% for me is 500 Joule, which will give me this many X Joule, whatever. Go to the docs, doc master, travel to Crystalvale, Ice Gardens, seed box, Joule, X Joule, LP, deposit. Right, bam, good to go. And that's like if you're trying to maximize the amount of Crystal you're earning right off the bat, especially with a crazy emission schedule like this. This is not crazy, it's realistic. It's just to build hype, to get people to like quickly ape in, that really are all about that are really bullish on the project. But yeah, it's gonna be super good. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the third strategy is you kind of take sorry. The third strategy is kind of like the first strategy. You do the Joule in 1, right? And you have like 25 to 40% of your bag. You take the remaining 60 to 75% of your bag, whatever it is, and you go to the jeweler, do this, whatever. Oops. Go to the docks. You know the deal. Travel to Crystalvale. Bridge your jewel over. Bridge your X jewel over. And then also, well, actually, I'll get into that in a second. Go to the ice gardens. And what you'll actually want to do is, deposit that jewel X jewel LP. But really, what you should do is this. You would take that 60 to 75% jewel bag and you would divide it by 2, right? And you would do half into jewel X jewel. And then I'm going to assume you're going to take some of your jewel, if it gives you the ability to at some point, go to the marketplace, find, they're probably going to name a trader as well. Go to the trader and then swap half of your jewel for crystal token, if they give you an opportunity to. Because my assumption, which is this is a big reason why I want to get into this in the first place, is that the next token or the next LP they release is going to be a crystal and a jewel LP. If not, my other speculation is a jewel AVAX LP. Now keep this in mind. Going back to this, you see the submission schedule, right? The jewel AVAX isn't going to pay the same emission rate as the jewel and jewel X jewel. So the 16 probably won't be what you get paid out in. And I'm not just talking about like locked or unlocked. I'm just talking about overall. You're probably going to get something closer to what this is, which is 0.31 is what I'm assuming for the jewel. And let's see if we can find the AVAX one here just for the sake of it. For the jewel AVAX, or even if it's crystal AVAX LP, depending on how they do it. I don't know, speculating here. But, oh, I guess this one's a little bit higher. So it's actually 0.7, which is cool. But, it'll probably be something similar. It'll pay you in crystal instead of jewel, but it won't pay you like as much as the jewel X jewel off the bat, or as much, especially as the jewel and crystal LP. So keep that in mind. So again, that's kind of like the third, fourth strategy. I forgot what number I'm on, to be honest. And that's kind of how I would play it. But to be honest, I think right off the bat, if you don't already have an AVAX bag, I wouldn't just go getting an AVAX bag for the sake of this. If you do have an AVAX bag, I would wait for an opportunity if it presents itself. If not, do what you must with it, whether invest into another project, hodl it, whatever. It's totally up to you. Again, this is not financial advice. But right off the bat, I think what's going to be the most lucrative opportunity is the jewel X jewel LP. It's probably going to be paying, a good APR, but forget the APR. What you want to focus on more is the emission rate. That's the most important. So don't get distracted by the APRs. Obviously, the APRs do play a factor, but you're not going to leave this in annually, most likely, or at least not all of it, because you're going to take profits at some point. So you're going to want to focus on how much crystal can you get in the shortest amount of time. And that's kind of where this issuance schedule is more of something you should pay attention to than APR, which is what distracts a lot of normies, a lot of people who are new to DeFi, and a lot of people who are new to crypto. So anyways, that's really it for that video, or for this video. Again, I say foresee, that's not exactly the best language, Joe. Okay, so I do think we will continue to see this pump. I actually would not be surprised if it breaks this 973. It actually would break that 200% mark at $11.48. And I also can totally see it breaking this next resistance level if it breaks, this $11.48 region and goes to the 15.46. If it breaks these three, I will say I'm pretty confident that it'll probably get back to the $22 range at that point, just being honest. And also something to note too, let's kind of go into the tokenomics a little bit of Jewel. Wait, here it is. Remember, Jewel has a hard cap. There's not going to be any more printed. So even though you're earning per block, this is actually, you know, in the long term, creating more, what do you call it? More price pressure, you know, or more supply pressure actually, because a lot of people are going to be doing what I just told you about, and they're going to be staking their Jewel and X Jewel into the LP. So it's not going to be putting more Jewel into the market, thus creating buying pressure, you know? So the price is going to be like going up and up and up and up and up. And, you know, that's also why I could totally reach new all-time highs, potentially, right? Like this is not fact. This is just one of many scenarios that could play out. The other scenario could be like, it actually, you know, gets to this point, and like I said, it just like fizzles out a bit, and maybe it recovers, maybe it just stables out, who knows? Anything can go, honestly. And that's something you have to keep in mind, right? Because again, this is pumping specifically because of the announcement for DFK or DeFi, Crystalvale. The DFK chain announcement is what really was the first start to this, was the first catalyst for this movement. And I think with Crystalvale launching on the 30th, we'll kind of get a better idea of how it will continue to pump. But again, I'm pretty confident it'll continue. So anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys like this video. Make sure to subscribe, click the like button, throw it down a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's another project you think I should look into that I haven't already been looking into. I'd love to check it out, do a video on it, and even answer some questions. Oh yeah, and if you're from the Logical Crypto group, throw me down there if you know my meme reference, throw me down there my meme reference. Never go full, you know what. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Joe, aka DeFi Crypto King, or DCK for shorts, and thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.